Then I defied the gods.
So I just got out of an early showing of the Odyssey. This film is wrapped with a lot of controversy, but a lot of hype also. And I'll be honest, with all the hate online and some of the trailers that definitely underwhelmed me, I didn't think the trailers were too great coming out for this movie. It didn't get me too excited. My hype definitely died down just a tad. But I will tell you, after going and seeing this movie, that this is definitely one of Christopher Nolan's best films. I had a blast with this movie. It had me on the edge of my seat for all 2 hours and 50 minutes of it. Definitely keep that in mind when you go see it. It is a long film. This film is everything you'd want in a Christopher Nolan film. The score, the cinematography, the shots, the grand scale of it all is what you would expect. It definitely still lived up to the hype regardless of the hate online. My personal favorite of Christopher Nolan movies is Interstellar. I love Inception, The Prestige. All of those films, I've watched just about all of them. This one definitely ranks in the top 5 for me. I enjoyed it more than Oppenheimer. And I believe whether you think this movie is going to be good or not, you definitely should go see it in theaters and give it a shot. Some of the scenes with the mythical creatures in this film are absolutely amazing. It makes you sit there and wonder how they even made the scene or what they did to make it so practical. And just talking about some of the pros and stuff that I loved about the film, I think some of the horror elements that really weren't advertised in the trailers and not something I expected from Christopher Nolan were some of the best parts of the film. Not to get too much into spoilers, but as you saw in the film, and if you know the story of the Odyssey, they do encounter a Cyclops. That scene is absolutely amazing. It looks like it's something out of a horror film completely. I definitely think in the future, if it's a possibility, Christopher Nolan should take a shot at a horror film. That is my favorite genre. And also a scene later on that involves a witch and some soldiers that was very creepy and unsettling, definitely for a Christopher Nolan fan. I absolutely loved every second of it. And also the casting in the film. I felt like every actor in the film did great at their part, even though I know that's something that's being hated on online a lot. Matt Damon as Odysseus is awesome in the movie. Tom Holland does great, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, they're all awesome in the film. You should know by now that acting isn't going to be an issue in a Christopher Nolan film. And of course, in a Christopher Nolan film, you expect the cinematography, the score, and all of the practical effects to be amazing. And of course they were. And while there's a lot of big things that happen throughout the film, definitely the last 45 minutes of the movie are very intense, keep you on the edge of your seat. And I really liked how they all tied it together in the end. Now to get into some of the negatives of the film, even though I don't have many, it's not really a negative, but something that I kind of expected based off the trailers, based off of what the actors were saying in a lot of interviews, is that there were going to be grand scale, large battles in this film, something similar to Troy. If you've ever seen that with Brad Pitt as Achilles. And Troy is a prequel to this film in a way, even though it's different directors, kind of a different story, and it does play out differently in Troy than it does when it starts in this film. But Troy has plenty of large scale battles and awesome choreography when the fights are happening. And even though there are big scenes in this film, there's not really any large scale battles. Even towards the end of this film, when the final battle in the third act is happening, the final battle isn't as big or as grand as I expected. And that's not to say that the third act isn't intense, it isn't awesome and everything that I wanted, but it's not a large scale battle. It's more of something smaller and moments that have a lot more meaning than just a bunch of people fighting. And also another small negative to point out that I think might bother some people, if you've watched Christopher Nolan's Batman films, the Dark Knight trilogy, one of the biggest things that were hated on throughout those films is the fight choreography. It's very close up, claustrophobic. Some scenes you can't even really tell what's going on. You just know characters are swinging at each other. And there is a lot of that in this movie. There's not many wide shots of sword battles or people fighting. It's very close up and claustrophobic, which is super intense, but definitely not what everyone loves. So I can definitely see that being something that would bother some people going into this film. And now, even with a little bit of negatives that I had, I definitely still believe that this film is a home run for Christopher Nolan. I don't believe any movie is perfect, but this one is very close, at least in my opinion. It's definitely one of his best films. Like I said, I enjoyed it more than Oppenheimer. It's not quite my favorite, but definitely a great addition to the number of films and great films that he has done. So to sum it up, if you enjoy Christopher Nolan movies, the way he makes films, you love Matt Damon, you love Greek mythology, I think you're going to have a blast with this movie. It is 100% worth going to see in IMAX in the biggest theater that you can. And for my overall rating of the film, I think I'm going to give the Odyssey a 9 out of 10, maybe even a 9.5. This film is a lot of fun. It's really great. It is super long, so keep that in mind going into it. It's almost 3 hours long. Definitely go see see it in theaters. I think you'll enjoy it. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed the video, and I will catch all of you in the next one.
Then I defied the gods.